Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. I'm Simply G, and today I'm going to be showing off all of the anime and merchandise as well that I got for this month of April. It's been a long month, quite a busy month for me personally, in my personal life, things like that. But, oh my goodness, so many books and so much stuff to show anime-wise as well. So yeah, rather than spend too long on this intro, I'll get straight into it, and I hope you guys enjoy. First up, I actually got a couple figures this month, which is unusual, just because I don't pre-order that many figures anymore. I don't really have the room for them, to be quite honest, but these ones I had pre-ordered, or one of them I bought after the orders had been shipped, so they're still available. So the first one is the singular Nendroid that I got, and as per usual for the Nendos that I buy, this is a Haikyuu Nendo for Osamu Miya, the other Miya twin from Haikyuu. I already own his brother Atsumu, and I display them together. He has a very disgusted face whilst eating rice. He did have a chewing face earlier, but when he's displayed with his brother, who is very joyfully eating pudding, it's with the knowledge that it's his brother's pudding that he's eating, so obviously said brother is quite annoyed. Yeah, overall, really lovely. I've said this before, I don't really buy too many Nendos just because I don't play around with them necessarily, or pose them as much as I think they're built to do, because typically an Nendroid comes with several different faces, several different little accessories, things like that. I put them together and don't touch them ever again for the most part. So I don't really see the appeal. They are very cute. I do like the kind of cute chibi style, but they're also quite pricey for what they are. In saying that, Haikyuu is kind of the exception to the rule. I do have one or two Nendos from other franchises around as well, but Haikyuu is one. They've put out a whole bunch of Nendroids. I have pretty much all of them. I don't have like alternate uniform, school uniform versions, and I don't have Lev or Yaku. I've been considering trying to hunt them down, but they're also super expensive, so I feel like it'd be smarter just to wait for a re-release, because I feel like that will happen with an upcoming season. But I get these because I just really love the cast of Haikyuu overall, and there's no consistent quality figures, prize figures, scale figures, whatever else, aside from the Nendos that have the main cast or the extended cast either. So yeah, I decided to collect the Nendos, and they haven't disappointed me thus far. It's a series that I really, really love, and these Nendos are just super duper cute. Is a 1/7 scale figure of the main character, or one of the main characters of Inspector, Iwanaga. This is a late teenage, well, she's a teenage girl, like 18, 19 in the main series, who was kidnapped in her childhood by yokai, by the spirits, and in order to be returned, she actually sacrificed, well, she became the wise goddess of these spirits, these yokai, in exchange for her eye and her leg. So actually, if you see, she's got her prosthetic leg here, and one of her eyes, I mean, they're exactly the same on the figure, but in the story, she only has one eye. And this is a supernatural kind of comedy of mystery, suspense story, kind of somewhat in the line of something like Noragami. There's a lot of action in it. The manga's really wonderful. I enjoyed it a lot. Anime is also very good. Second season is slated to come out at some point. Don't really remember. It's been announced. Is basically about this character, Iwanaga, and her boyfriend slash assistant slash, I mean, he's the main character, who has his own sort of supernatural woes. And they help, they fix problems. She kind of fixes supernatural problems by providing convenient lies. It's a really interesting premise. I didn't know anything about the supernatural element when I first started reading the manga, so that came as a very pleasant surprise. And I actually really, really enjoy this series now. It's one that I've considered buying the volumes for because I previously was reading them via my library, which I probably will continue to do so, but I feel like at some point I will bite the bullet and get the volumes myself. It's also based off of a light novel series, which I'd be interested to read at some point. So we have Iwanaga and two of her little like yokai buddies. She's sitting on a giant skeletal hand. She's got her stick, and in her pretty typical outfit, just all around a pretty nice figure. And actually this character has a lot of figures. There's a really cool one where she's sitting on this like rusty traffic light thing. There's a lot of really cool figures for this character, so you have your choice, whichever one you want. And this isn't like, I don't know if this is a super popular series, so it did surprise me that so many companies are making scales of Iwanaga, but I'm not complaining. Although in saying that, this is the only one that I'm going to get because I'm not that crazy, I promise. Finally, for figures, we have Kiss Shot, Arceola Heart Under Blade, who is aka Shinobu. She's 1/7 scale from Belfine, I believe, did her. And man, she is gorgeous. I love, love, love this figure. I know some people do have issues with Belfine's quality. I do not have those issues. And I mean, we know that I'm not as picky about figures as some people are. But she's just gorgeous. I love her. She's from Baku Monogatari, or the Monogatari franchise as a whole. More specifically, she's from Kizu Monogatari. And as such is representative of those films / the novel. I've said it before, I will say it again. I really like Monogatari. It's a series that you either love or you hate. I was introduced to it via the anime, like most people. The films are very, very good. Quite standalone. The novel, Kizu Monogatari, is also standalone, which is why that was the first of the novels to be licensed and released by Vertical. And since, falling down this rabbit hole of the Monogatari franchise, I've seen all of it. I own a large chunk of it. I now own 2/3 of the novels that are available in English, with the last box set on order. I just really like this franchise. It's got a lot of problems. It's also pretty neat. And I think, even if you don't want to dive into the franchise as a whole, I do recommend Kizu Monogatari just as its own thing. There's a lot of action. The characters are very interesting. The dynamic between this character, Kiss Shot, and Araragi, the protagonist, is just done really well. And watching this gives a lot of context to later parts of the series, which I think makes them a little bit more easy to understand. So yeah, super lovely figure, super sexy figure. And I just, yeah, I really, really, really like this Kiss Shot. I've owned a Kiss Shot figure before, which was also gorgeous. It had her big sword. I don't remember the name of it. It does have a name. And that was also really lovely, really dynamic. There's something about this one that kind of ticks the boxes for me. So yeah, really, really happy to have her. Speaking of Monogatari, actually, we'll get into the anime because I received the second season box set containing Neko Monogatari White, Kabuki Monogatari, Hana Monogatari, Atari Monogatari, Oni Monogatari, and Koi Monogatari, which is all of the second season stuff in the singular box set. So this is the follow-up to Bake, Nisei, and Neko Black, as well as like the Kizu films. And following this, you have the Owari Monogatari stuff. You have Suki Monogatari and Koyomi Monogatari and Zoku Owari Monogatari. So there's still quite a bit in this franchise, which has just started to be released in the UK, which is where this releases from. As you can tell, it's got the ratings logo and MVM logo on there. And, you know, I'm not that picky. I am fine with just owning the UK release because it's a lot cheaper than trying to track down the Aniplex releases. And it's just a little bit more consistent with my overall Monogatari collection so far. Yeah, I mean, this is just the second season, or well, it's actually the third season. Unless you group Bake Monogatari, Neko Black, and Nisei Monogatari all together, as like season 1, which it is, right? And I guess Kizu Monogatari as well. It's hard to explain Monogatari because there's like all different story arcs. They all have different names. They all feature different girls. But if you don't know anything about the Monogatari franchise whatsoever, so here, there's Shinobu as our sexy vampire, her current self in this season. But this is our protagonist, Koyomi Araragi. And he, at a certain point of his life, was turned into a vampire thanks to Kiss Shot. But he got better. Don't worry, he got better. But in doing so, he learnt about the supernatural world, kind of this hidden world amongst quote-unquote real life or the normalcy of every day. And so because he becomes aware of this, he becomes more aware of other people who are struggling with supernatural problems, and thus, as the light novel protagonist, he helps a bunch of girls in his school who are struggling with supernatural problems. That is what Bake Monogatari is, and Nisei Monogatari is that same idea, except for in regards to his little sisters. And I mean, the Monogatari franchise is basically that. One of these people and one of the girls in his lives, whether they be his sisters or one of his classmates, his girlfriend, has a problem, has a supernatural problem, and he has to try and figure out how to help them because he has a very strong sense of duty and responsibility, and he wants to help people. And it's quite an interesting dynamic. He's also like an unabashed pervert and that sort of thing as well, so, you know, beware if that's something that makes you wary. Generally, I do like Koyomi. I don't have too much of an issue with him, and this is like with most of Nisio Isen's works. This is a story built off of wordplay and banter and discussion between characters more so than like any amazing plot or anything like that, but it's just, I like it. I mean, I'm susceptible to enjoy supernatural, mystery, action, fun stuff anyway, and Bakemonogatari definitely kind of pushed to the forefront this sort of light novel, and is a hugely popular franchise. Like, every single book except for the current novels that he's reading, which is like the monster story stuff, writing, have been adapted to anime. So we have pretty much a full adaptation of Monogatari, and I'm sure that in the coming years we will see even more as more and more of the novels are written. But yeah, this, my favorite, perhaps unsurprisingly. So it's Neko White. This is Kabuki Monogatari. Really interesting storyline with Kabuki Monogatari, actually. I liked it a lot. That one, yeah, pretty interesting. Honeymoon Monogatari is this one, and then Atari Monogatari, also really interesting. Like, I don't even like this character very much, but this storyline is pretty well done. I did actually quite like it. And then, but my favorite arc is Oni Monogatari, which again features a very sexy kiss shot. And then Koyomi Monogatari is pretty solid too. Like, I what can I say? I like the Monogatari franchise. I think it's pretty clever when it's not thinking it's so super clever. You gotta give the man credit. He knows how to write an engaging story when it's basically just a bunch of talking heads. So yeah, I'm happy to have this. It was on sale, so I got it at a little bit of a discount. I bought it directly from the UK. And now that the later parts of the franchise have been announced, I'm wondering if I'm going to jump on them immediately and then make my own box set, because I'm planning on making custom box sets for season 1, quote unquote, of the Monogatari franchise, and then also the 3 Kizu films, which will mean that I have 3 disc or 3 case boxes for Monogatari in the collection. And then but with the final part, because Owari Monogatari is in 2 cases and Isuki Monogatari is separate to that, and then with Koyomi Monogatari and Owari Zuko, or Zoku Owari Monogatari, it would, that's 5, and I might do a 2, 3. Maybe I'm forgetting something. I don't think I'm forgetting something though. I just need to figure out. I'm just gonna need to figure out how I want to do it. So yeah, nobody cares about that sort of stuff aside from me, but I'd really like it if it was just also another 3-disc case, rather than a 4-disc one. But that's just me being weird. But yeah, the second season complete collection box set of Monogatari second season. There are Blu-ray sets that I got this month that are also ones that I'm going to be making a custom box set for, actually, because I love this series and it deserves a nice box set. Is Honeymoon and Clover season 1 and season 2. This is a full adaptation of the manga of the same name by Chika Umino. This is the story of a bunch of art university students, some who are not roommates. They board at the same boarding house, and the romance and the drama and the worries in their lives. It's super duper good. I highly recommend the manga, although a couple of the volumes are pretty out of print. Volume 8 in particular is very hard to find. But you can still read it all digitally, so I encourage you to do that. Support manga legally. and check out the anime as well, because it's a very close adaptation. It's incredibly well done. Yeah, I love this series a whole bunch. And I think it really digs into, I mean, just the aspects of growing up and trying to figure out what you want to do in your life, and these ideas of loss and struggle and hard work and talent versus hard work as well is a big one. It's just wonderful. I love it. It's also very funny because Una has a wonderful sense of humor when she's not breaking your heart. Yeah, Morita is such a gremlin. Oh my god. I love him, but I also, he would annoy me to no end if I knew him in real life. He's just that one pain in the ass friend. But all of these kids are good kids. I mean, a lot of them make very stupid decisions, but a lot of them make very smart decisions. It's really an interesting story, and I highly recommend you read it if you haven't. Watch it if you haven't. It's really lovely that we did get this series rescued. This was originally released on DVD by Viz way back in the day, and then now Discotek has re-released it, put it on Blu-ray, and it looks wonderful. I haven't watched all of it, and I had to check, but I think they made sure that the insert, like, "You Are My Sunshine," is that what it is? There's like a song that in the DVDs was not available, but I think in the interim, the years since, they've been able to replace it, so that makes it well worth the purchase if nothing else. But yeah, huge upgrade, video and audio quality wise as well. Discotek just always does a really great job on their DVDs, as per usual with this series, no exception. And yeah, highly recommend this series if you haven't tried it yet. And kind of coincidentally, sadly, we have Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad. This is the Australian release, 6-disc release. And you can tell I actually flipped the cover, but also this was, I put it into a skinny pack. You might be able to tell I've actually folded this because this is originally in a fat pack. I don't know why old Madman releases put them into fat packs when they didn't need to, but it saves shelf space for me doing it this way, and obviously all of the discs still fit in, no worries. But this is kind of a coincidental purchase. The director of the series just recently passed away, which is very sad. But this is an adaptation, a partial adaptation of the manga of the same name. I think it's now just branded as Mongolian Chop Squad in the US on all the Funimation re-releases because of, you know, the Beck copyright in the US. And it's the story of a high school boy who doesn't really have anything he's super passionate about, but through a series of events is introduced to rock and roll and guitar through this, well, he gets attacked / bitten by this really ugly dog, who he then meets the owner of, and he's the one who introduces him to, you know, this world of music that he's never experienced before. And then also he has like a romantic thing going on with this other guy's younger sister, and he starts to learn guitar, play guitar, and they form a band which becomes Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad. It's really wonderful, really great series. The music is great. The dub and the music adaptation in the dub is super great. It's just one of those shows that kind of hits everything correctly. I've read all of the manga for Beck. I own it digitally thanks to Kodansha relicensing it and re-releasing it on Comixology and other digital platforms. It was partially released way back in the day by Tokyopop. I think they only got 11, 14 volumes, something like that, out of the 34 before Tokyopop went belly up. But it is a fantastic manga. Highly recommend that to read as well. But yeah, this is a great series to check out, and I do encourage you to, if you like music manga, if you like music anime series, if you like rock and roll, and classic rock and roll, and stories about bands and like following your dream and music authenticity and all these things, then definitely check both the anime and manga out, as well as maybe just in remembrance for the director and his work, because it is a incredibly impressive body of work, including this series, and like Paradise Kiss is another one that like immediately comes to mind. There's quite a few, and I don't like episode 4 or 5. 4 is the notorious one of Gurren Lagann. Was him, the episode director for that one. He has a very distinct style, which didn't vibe very well for Gurren Lagann fans at the time. I think people might have a bit more appreciation for that sort of thing now. But yeah, this is, regardless of that, this series is super duper good, and I did once upon a time have the singles in the really cool box set that looked like an amp, and each release came with a different guitar pick and all sorts of things, but we know that I don't have space for that sort of thing anymore. That was sold many years ago, and I just never got around to replacing it. But again, coincidentally, I found a cheap copy on eBay, and so picked it up, and it arrived, and within the week that, you know, this director has died. So maybe it's time for me to give it a rewatch, because it's been quite a few years since I watched Beck as well. But yeah, definitely worth the watch. That's the anime and merchandise that I got for this month. More than I expected, because I kind of never expect that I'm going to get anime in any particular month. I typically do end up with at least one release, but I never plan it. There's very few things that I pre-order nowadays, so it's a bit of a surprise whenever I can get a good deal and pick something up. And it was just really well timed with the figures as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings and comments and whatever else on any of these titles, any of these figures, anything that was in this video. If you agree, disagree, I love hearing from you. I do try to respond to each and every comment, and even if I don't respond, I have read it, I have, you know, seen it. Sometimes, you know, there's only so much you can respond with. As per usual, my contact information, my social media stuff is in the description below. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I also host a monthly podcast with my great, wonderful friend Ray from Whimsical Pictures. That just was posted very late into this month. It's not typically the last day of the month that it's posted. I'm usually better about scheduling, but where we talk about manga, different creators, different series, different genres, things like that. This April's podcast is about comedy manga, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, again, you can subscribe and you'll get the video when it goes live, or you can also follow the Read Right to Left podcast on Spotify, iTunes podcast, or Apple Podcasts, I guess, Google Podcasts, all that great stuff. I also regularly do a weekly live stream every Saturday night my time. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to the US, or East Coast time. 9 a.m. East Coast time, Saturdays, which is 9 p.m. my time. So I always get the time zones a bit muddled. Where I talk about all of the manga that I read for that week, if that's something you're interested in, as well as just all the other various first impressions and recommendations videos and art book videos and everything else. And of course, I will be doing my manga haul video and post it at the same time as this one will go live, where I talk about all of the different manga that I got for the month. So yeah, I that's a lot, but I hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye till then.